wrong in my house, in my original family. My mom would completely ghosted me. Even we are in the same room watching TV together or eating dinner, whatever, my mom would completely ghosted me. No interaction, no, yes, huh, no, nothing. Even though you talk to her, she, silence.
This is Season 2, Episode 1, talking about emotions, specifically anger. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taiwanica Podcast. This is Eric speaking, and I am glad to be back. And coming with me is the one, the only, very angry Anita.
Hello, everybody. I'm very excited about today's topic.
She is very excited that she even changed her voice.
I am.
So we are Taiwanica Podcast, a podcast that talks about cultural differences between Taiwan and the USA, now introducing emotional context so we can feel feelings together. Now, today, we already talked about our main title, which is anger, an emotion that we all feel on a regular basis, especially more for others. No pointing any fingers, but yes, we all feel angry at times. Yes? What about you, Anita?
Of course, I am very well experienced with anger, of course. I think every emotions are great. They are just experience. The problem is, how are we going to solve them if it's negative ones? How are we going to celebrate them when they are good ones?
Wonderfully said. I completely agree. And there are methods that we will slowly like to introduce to everybody throughout this season. So definitely tune into every episode, because the more you listen to this, the more you'll be able to also start to clear out the emotions of your life. So with anger specifically, I have some questions that I would like to ask you first, Anita.
Yeah.
What is anger? What do you think it is?
Anger is an emotion that makes you feel you are going to lose control of any kind. Like either yelling, shouting, smashing, any kind. So, and you will feel like your blood pressure is going high, your heartbeat goes fast, sometimes you sweat. Anger is the emotion that likes that.
I think you explained it very well. And what is a reason why we get angry?
I think the reason why we get angry is because when the thing is out of our control. Like we expect, today I woke up this morning, I'm going to have a wonderful day. And then you go outside, the traffic sucks. You miss the bus, Everything is out of control. Out of everything you identify as good, I think that's when you get angry.
Oh, so things that are outside your expectations.
That's true.
Interesting. And so why do we, get hot-headed and yell at people when things are out of our expectation? What do you think is the root cause of us acting this way?
I think when every situation is out of our control, our nervous system kicked in like, dang, we are not going to make it. Or, we just reflected, have the ideas that, dang, it's going to be totally different what I expected. And we don't like that feeling. And I don't think anybody likes that. Even for animals, like, I'm going to, if I were a tiger, I wanted to catch this prey. But, the prey somehow got away. I think I will also experience anger. And deep down, I think it's considered a violation of your survival mode. Any kind. Like, you missed the bus. Dang, I'm going to be late at work. There's traffic happened in front of me, and I'm going to be late. Or, my wife is going to get angry at me. And then my life is in danger. Sort of things like that.
It seems really interesting because all the things that you're talking about seem to relate to another emotion that we feel on a daily basis, and that's fear. Right. And I think that's very interesting how anger is an emotion that we all are very well familiar with, and that we express it on a very continuous basis, some more than others, like I mentioned. And that is because what Anita just said is that fear is kind of driving that emotion of anger, is that we want to make sure things are going the way that we want it to go. And if it doesn't, this is where the fear kicks in, is that, for example, like you said with your traffic, oh, I'm going to be late or I missed the bus. You're angry at the bus, but inside you're fearful of what are going to be the consequences of you being late or missing the bus.
Yes. So I like how you address it like that, because the more you understanding emotions, you know there is no one specific emotion just exist. Most of the time when we are experiencing, especially in negative moments, it actually has mixed emotions happen. And anger so happened to be the easiest one, because it's just so easy to that I missed the bus, I'm angry. Angry is the easiest go-to emotion for everybody. It's just so easy. You just yell, you just say, oh, I'm pissed.
It's addicting,
right? And just like how Eric break it down to different kinds of emotions, which is fear. So I think every emotions has relationship with each other. They are intertwined. And I think the first one, when you get angry, I think there's a really, really good beginning for you to really look into your emotion, look into your anger. Is it fear or is it something else, or frustration or anything like that? I think that's why we are making the season 2, giving you those ideas. We are talking about anger. What else is there?
Exactly. And that's a really great way to segue and connect to what we're going to talk about specifically, to give everyone a general idea that we all feel anger, no matter which country you're from, and we would like to provide examples to prove that right now. So in United States, we have some very common ways of when we feel angry, and I'm sure Anita will be like, oh, us too, or oh, Taiwan too, in just a moment, because they're pretty common no matter where you live, I'm sure. And so the first one is actually kind of what Anita brought up already, which is traffic. United States, we are a big country, and we need to use cars for pretty much everything, whether it's to go to the grocery store, even the convenience store, or whatever activity. And one of the biggest ones that we experience traffic with is going to work. And so every morning around 8 a.m. or every evening around 5 p.m., guess what? There's a traffic jam, and people get really annoyed at how slow they're moving to either get to work, maybe being late, or getting home, having wife be angry that you're not ready for dinner on time, or husband being upset that food isn't being ready yet.
So true.
Yeah, so how about in Taiwan? Is it pretty similar?
Definitely traffic. And I think we have different kind of situation. Is at least in America, you only have rush hour. The street is busy. In Taiwan, we are busy all the time.
Yes. The traffic is 24/7 busy.
Right.
Except for 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, because we are small. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
We are small, and we don't just have cars. We have scooters.
Ah, yes.
Okay. And everybody's arguing, we should modify the law of scooters or car, whatever. But the truth is, it's all kind of messy. People not following the traffic law, whatever. Just everybody so happen to be, and we like to go outside, because it's sunny all the time.
Yeah.
And sunny all the time. Everything is affordable. We go out and eat. So a different kind of situation, because you guys have to go home to eat at home, right? And you guys don't have the luxury to eat out all the time. But lucky for us, everything's so affordable. So we are always on the run to everywhere that we want to go.
That's right. That's right.
And everything opens so late, 10, 11, all the time. All the time. So people are busy all the time. So traffic is the biggest trigger for people's anger to happen. So that's definitely the first one.
I agree. And when it comes to traffic in Taiwan, I've driven in Taiwan and I've driven in the United States, and driving in Taiwan is probably one of the most stressful things I've ever experienced.
I apologize for that.
I mean, it's okay. It's the way you guys do things. But me experiencing that means that there are other people in Taiwan who definitely feel the same thing I feel on a every single day basis. and they've just gotten used to it.
Right.
They've gotten used to that stress level. And that shocks me because when I watch other people drive in Taiwan, I know that they're really like alert and trying to make sure that they're safe and making sure they don't hit any scooters. And they're not worried about the cars because the scooters are the ones who are crazy. And so it's just too much stress, and it's so easy to get angry and be messed up afterwards. So this is the thing that we're trying to bring up here is when you are in this situation and you are experiencing stress or anger, you have a choice in this moment of either letting the anger happen or not letting it happen and trying to focus your emotions elsewhere. So, Anita, can you elaborate more on that?
Yes. I gotta say, I so agree with Eric because when I was still in Taiwan, I was just like, yeah, everybody drive like that. What's the big deal? But after 2 years, I haven't gone back to Taiwan, and I went back last month. I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
I was like, what?
You realized.
I did. So at that moment, I would just, have the realization. It's like, oh my God. So that's that. And also, environment is very important for your emotions. They definitely will, affect your emotion at a certain level. So when this kind of things, that's why I call it trigger. You probably don't want to feel angry at that moment. I'm guessing nobody wants to get angry all the time. Okay. So at that moment, I think you can do one thing, which is detach yourself from the situation.
Ooh.
When we are, like you said, like hot-headed, we just, oh my God, that guy, blah, blah, blah. You are in that moment. And everything that you describe at that moment, everybody has been experienced that before. Like, somebody turn left without the blinker or those kind of things. But at that moment, you have to have the realization, say, okay, this is the environment. This is not me.
Right.
And traffic is busy. I get it. The weather is hot all the time. I get it. You detach yourself from it, and then you can make the decision. How are you going to react to that situation? You can, whatever, I'm just going to get angry and then ruin your day, maybe go home and yell at your kids or your wife. Or you can literally detach yourself from that moment by just saying, okay, the traffic is busy. The weather is hot. What should I do?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
大家好，想要跟我们一起学英文吗？ No No No， 我们现在还有新的课程可以一起上咯，那就是情绪管理。Amazing Talker 呢非常棒，开设了一个新的专区，也就是情绪管理专区。那我们呢非常厉害哦 ，Eric and I， 我们两个是情绪管理的专家，所以呢，如果想要跟我们一起上这样的课程的话呢，可以到我们两个的首页去看更多的细节。以下连结开放点选，希望可以赶快跟你们一起上课哦，拜拜。
So I want to explain and kind of unpack what Anita means by detach. She just said it right now a minute ago. That was focusing on how the focus that you can do is say to yourself out loud, okay, traffic is crazy, it's hot, and then what should I do? And so on this what should I do part, the one best thing that you can do, that anyone can do in that moment, is actually say those words. Oh, it's hot. Oh, the traffic is crazy. These are very powerful by themselves. And why is that? Well, the reason is that when you take your focus and you actually say the words in your head, oh, traffic is crazy. Oh, it's really hot. You're actually helping your brain focus on the moment and not be reactive. So not respond to the moment in an angry way. You are taking what we call a conscious effort. And a conscious effort just means that you are focusing right now. And when you do that, your stress and your anger automatically, just by saying those words, will go down. It helps you focus back on what's important. You're driving, or what you were thinking about, or the music that's on the radio. You're not focusing on the crazy traffic anymore because you confirmed in your head that this is what's going on. I don't need to worry about it. And the only reason why you're worried about it is because you're afraid of it. But if you say it to yourself, you're no longer afraid because you know what it is. fear is not knowing. So if you know what it is, the fear goes away.
And also one thing is when you are hard-headed, you are tunnel vision.
That's right.
You can probably cannot see anything else either. You only feel what you feel, which is anger. But by saying, indicate the fact, the weather is hot, the traffic is busy, you are reminding yourself, okay, this is a situation I am in. I'm not part of it. So you just by saying, just like Eric said, you just, say it out loud. And then you will coming down because you open up your vision to the whole picture. You don't feel like a victim anymore. When most of the time when we get angry, we also have the feeling like somebody did something wrong to me. But in that situation, if you just say, okay, the traffic's busy, of course, then that person wouldn't, stuck in the traffic and target you. So I'm going to piss you off. Right? That's what we're going on in our brain at that moment.
You start judging.
Right.
You want to think about rolling down that window and yelling and giving that person a piece of your mind. You're like, what do you think you're doing? Right? And it's satisfactory in that moment, right? You feel really good doing it when you do that because you successfully got the anger out. Yeah. But you caused another negative result. Right. You made another person feel bad. And then what comes after that? Regret, which is another feeling. We're not going to talk about regret today, but that is another feeling we will talk about later.
Right.
But that's basically the steps, right? So most people afterwards, they feel bad in a different way. They don't feel angry anymore. They feel regret. And then they move over the rest of their day feeling bad, and then they yell at other people, or they feel bad on the inside. Maybe they drink too much or smoke too much. Something bad happens afterwards, right? So this is the whole thing, is that recognizing in that moment when you're having that peak of anger and being able to recognize that it's not you, it's just that situation, your environment, and you're able to calm yourself down, your whole day will change. Instead of yelling at your wife or being angry at the kids or yelling at your coworker, you're going to go to work and be like, hey, how's it going? There was some traffic. The whole attitude changes. You become a different person. And so this is the idea, is that you have to be equipped with anger and know how to tackle it, how to focus on it when it happens. And so that's one way that you can take care of it when you're outside of home. But now I want to bring up another one I think that Anita will relate to as well, which is in the United States. One of the easiest things that causes people to get angry is relationships.
Woohoo!
Yes, relationships. This is something that brings it closer to home, something that's not necessarily you're going to see when you're out of the house. Instead, you're going to be inside the house and feel angry. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Right.
I'm going to explain a couple of examples real quick. So one of them is family, okay? Mom, dad, brother, sister, the close people in your life. They do things that make you mad every single day, but you've gotten so used to it that you don't say anything. Maybe mom judging how you clean the dishes, or dad making sure that the car is perfect, and if you make a little mess in it, then you'll get scolded. Or your brother, not cleaning up after himself, or your sister scolding you for being not pretty enough. Or
Are you telling your own story right now?
My sister tells me
biology.
My sister tells me I'm not pretty enough all the time. It's a sad moment, okay? If you feel, you want to give Eric a hug, you can post that on Instagram. Okay, but no, the point is that these are these little things that can cause your life to be a little bit less happy because of the anger that you gently feel with your family. It can be small like this, or it could be something huge, like your mom throwing away all your stuffed animals.
Would you just stop? It's okay, honey.
That's
I love
you.
you. Oh, that's me.
Yes, you.
I didn't even notice.
Yes, you didn't even notice. Or your dad not giving you enough hugs. Okay.
My dad never gives hugs.
Or your brother eating all the food. Okay, and not sharing.
My brother really loves eating.
Or your sister scolding you on not being good at math. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Just...
I know everything about you. Okay, these are all Anita's examples. Okay, so these are the things that can really make you mad. And if you let it linger inside you, then every time it happens again, it's kind of like making a cake. Every time you make a cake and you want to make it better, you add another layer of like sugar on it, right? So it's just like a really bad tasting cake. Every time someone does a bad thing, you're just adding another layer of bad tasting anger on your angry cake. Okay, it's just getting worse and worse. So that's the problem, is that if you don't do anything about it, guess what? It doesn't go away. It stays in your body. And it's going to stay there until you figure out the problem. And this is where people get really mad at their family all of a sudden. Like, they yell at their parents. Be like, you don't love me. Okay.
What is this scenario?
Something like that. Or your brother, you yell at your brother, be like, you're such a fatty. Okay, something like that. All right, it just builds up to the point where you just explode, right? Who has not had an exploding moment in their life?
Right.
And that's because the layers got too thick, okay? Or lots of people in America say you just had your bottle too full. And it popped, okay? And so this is the situations that we can experience at home with relationships. But guess what? Just like the traffic, it is avoidable. Anita, can you elaborate on that?
Yes. First of all, I would like to be a nerd for just 1 second. I really like how you use the cake as a metaphor, but first, we don't just put sugar on top. What kind of cake are you making?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyways,
I am not a good baker, apparently.
The point is, just like you say, we will use another layer to cover it up, or like at that moment, just whatever, that's what my mom used to be, that's who she is, or, that's just my brother. In this moment, you gotta be very careful, because like just like Eric said, you just covered it with something kind of look okay at that moment. And then back to the nerdy moment I'm about to share, which is in your brain, your neuron, they carry memories. They just somehow create a certain type of chemical. For example, angry has its own chemical, and everybody's experience about angry will be different. So meaning everybody has different set of DNA or set of chemical inside of brain, whatever. And when you are experiencing those moments, every time when you have the experience in your brain, they will create a certain type of chemical, and they carry it inside of your body. So when you choose to cover it, say, I never let it go, I'm not going to talk about it, that's okay, you can say that. But in your brain, those chemicals still have memories inside of your body. And what happened is, the next time you experience a similar feeling, you trigger the neuron. That's how you react, double the punch. Or like what Eric said, the bottle popped. And that's why. So when you choose not to talk about it, not to deal with it, they don't go away. They store it inside of your body, in your system, a nervous system. So that's what Eric says. I think it's perfect example, like covered up with another layer of something else to cover what it was before. It's a very dangerous thing to do. And second, I would like to say is, most of the time, especially when you're having a relationship with someone you're really close to, like your family, your siblings, your grandparents, those anger, you're going to be very careful, because most of the time they are sad. And again, like I said, being angry is like the easiest way to let it out. So you got to be very careful when the moment you feel like, oh my God, I'm so mad at my mom, I'm so mad at my brother because he or she did this. You gotta look deeper. If it's sadness, I think most of people have been experienced that, like, our feeling got hurt. And at least in Asian culture, in Taiwanese culture, we don't talk about feelings. If you feel sad because of your close family members, we don't talk about it. Angry is the easiest way. Like your mom mad at you because your score is not good enough. I'm mad at my mom because my mom never gave me the attention that I need. But you look deep down, it's sad. So especially when we've been taught, at least, if you grew up in Taiwan, when you're a kid, when you said you cry, your mom or dad will tell you, stop crying. Crying is not going to solve anything. We've been taught early age, like sadness is an unwelcome feeling. So what that makes us, when we're adults, we don't talk about it. We covered it with anger. And the worst part is when we experience the anger, we covered it with something else as well. And that's when just like a snowball rolling bigger and bigger until it hit the rock and everything got destroyed.
I think it's a very well explained nerdy moment with Anita. And so just to kind of make it a little bit easier to understand is that when she mentioned how we all experience different anger and how that affects our brain, no matter what, each of our brains are going to have the same chemical release when we're feeling anger, but the color of anger that comes out is a different shade. So it might be pink for one or red for another. That's what she means by everyone is going to experience anger differently. And so when you have more and more layers added to it, it's just making that color, in my opinion, darker and darker to the point where it's going to become so unstable inside your body that you have to have a release because your body can't withstand that frustration anymore or that anger anymore. But the thing is about this moment is that yes, you will feel a release somewhat about that emotion when that moment happens. But the thing is, this is not the best way to release this emotion because you're releasing it when it's at a dangerous state. And when you're releasing it at a dangerous state, it's very similar to if you think of like a volcano, okay? So if you see a volcano and it erupts, it's exploding everywhere, right? There's damage in all different directions and it's completely unpredictable. But if you're capable of managing your volcano of anger, you're able to not have that kind of eruption. Instead, you're able to manage it so that that actually never happens. That explosion will never happen. And that's possible, but you have to be able to be aware of it happening so that you're not controlled by your environment. And that's what Anita is saying here, is that with all the experiences that you have with people, with like your family who have repeatedly done this to you, you have to get to the point where you have to talk to them directly about these situations and be able to express it. And I know in Asian cultures this is totally taboo. And so hopefully with the knowledge that you're learning today, that you'll be one of the people who pioneer this new phenomenon, which is what we're trying to encourage, is that expressing your emotions is a good thing. Expressing them in a healthy way is what we want you to do. And doing it with communication rather than reaction. Communication instead of reaction is the most important thing here. And that's why we're talking about this one specifically today with anger. And so what I'd like to do now is basically ask Anita to share a little bit of her personal life, if she's okay with it, about one specific moment where she lost it. And then one way that she, next time afterwards, in a new situation where you were about to lose it, but you knew this information and you were able to contain yourself. So if you can give us 2 examples, that would be great.
I don't have a clear memory about how many times I've lost it.
That's okay. You don't know to tell us how many. Just tell us one specific
experience.
one that you can remember off the top of your head.
Oh God. I think the experience I can remember, that's one time I was talking to Eric about something and he didn't respond to me. And then I repeat what I said earlier. Again, still no response. And I just get angry immediately. I snapped. So I started yelling at him. And at that moment, Eric was like, what just happened? Just feel like he was sleeping when the earthquake happened. He woke up with the house was, tilted or something like that.
I've totally done that before.
Anyways, so I got lost it. And my pattern, every time I experience negative emotion, my biggest, how do I say that? That's not really the solution. My biggest way of handling it is to walk away. I'm not saying that's the best way. I'm still trying to change that. But that's always my go-to. Just like what we already included earlier on this episode, like we have our go-tos. We repeatedly doing a certain motion when certain things happen. So that's, for me, it's like, I would yell, blah, 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 and then I would just walk away and, went to another room or whatever. And that moment, I was shocked. After I yelled at Eric, I was shocked. I was like, what just happened? Then I asked myself, why? I said, I'm so angry. I was talking to myself at that moment. I'm so angry. And then I asked myself, why? And then I just remember, because every time when I did something wrong in my house, in my original family, my mom would completely ghosted me. Even we are in the same room watching TV together or eating dinner, whatever, my mom would completely ghosted me. No interaction, no yes, huh, no, nothing. Even though you talk to her, she, silent treatment, basically. That's when I realized, what I'm experiencing, Eric's action triggered me to feel the feeling I was hurt when my mom did the silence treatment to me throughout my whole entire life. She's still doing that. And that's when I realized, okay, and that's what I remembered. And I tell myself, that's the old memory from my mom. And Eric is not my mom. His intention was not to hurt me, which my mom's intention is very clear. Yeah.
Yes.
So give it a different definition. I think it's really, really important. We usually experience the same emotion when somebody did the same thing. This is a perfect example, silent treatment. But at that moment, I didn't thought that Eric was just paying attention to his work. He didn't really hear what I said at that moment. My brain, when I experience anger, doesn't have the time to think reasonably or logically, right? But I took away. I think walking away sometimes has good result.
Agreed.
Which is like this. I walk away, I ask myself tons of questions because I don't want to feel like that anymore. And I don't want to hurt my relationship with Eric just because of my past relationship with my mom. Because, I don't want the same thing happen again, right? I don't want to have a bad relationship with Eric just like the relationship my mom and I shared. So at that moment, I changed. I say, look, Eric loves you. He never will, based on your understanding to your own husband, right? Eric will never did something like that to you, or when he would dare. He would never dare to do that to me.
I'm shaking my head no. Vigorously.
Yeah, anyways. So when I realizing everything, I will usually suggest you writing it down, because our brain, you cannot trust your brain too much because,
It's angry.
Yeah. I wrote it down and I went back to Eric. I tell him everything. First, say, I'm sorry, but I have something I wanted to tell you and I need you to listen to me. Give him a chance and also give you a chance to open up what happened in your past, and you can do it together with your, new relationship. In this case, it's my relationship with Eric. So he understands, so he will never do that again. He will be more careful every time when I ask him questions or talking to him or find a solution. Like if I really wanted Eric's attention, I'll go to him. If he's doing something else, I said, I wanted to talk to you. Even though it's not important, but I want you to listen to it.
Which is every day.
Yes.
And I love it.
Not important part.
I love it. All of her random nonsense. It's great. It keeps the day alive.
Just give him the heads up. Like, okay, I'm going to share something that's not very important, but I want you to listen to me. I wanted to share the joy, the nonsense with you, whatever. Give him the chance. And also give yourself a chance so the same situation won't happen. And of course, you are going to heal what has happened deep down. That's what, earlier on we say there must be a root what happened. So that's my experience.
Wonderful experience, because you not only shared with us a method of how to contain or, be aware of your anger during when anger is already inside you. You're feeling the anger, and you tell us how you're going to focus on it so that it doesn't take control of you. You also gave us a solution to what you would do in the future, which is openly communicate with your partner about how you would like to do things in the future so that this kind of angry trigger will not happen, even though you're going to try to avoid that trigger from happening ever again. So you're kind of doing a two birds, one stone situation here. You're doing the best you can inside by being aware that this is a trigger because of the things that happened in the past.
Right.
And if it happens again, you're going to try to give yourself a little space before you do anything. Just like maybe, I'm angry. Oh, wait, hold on. Just give yourself a couple seconds. What's going on? And then you're like, oh, It's the mom thing, the cold shoulder, the ghosting thing again. And then you're able to walk away, take care of it, and then come back and be a different person. You're not causing the same issue over and over again.
Right.
So that's great. And then you, with the communication with your amazing husband that you have named Eric, I want to meet this guy.
Oh my God.
You
this
said
guy.
that you'll try to make an alternative by letting him know.
Right.
So that he's also aware that he needs to do something more carefully. So your relationship grows on both sides, inside and out.
Right.
Wonderful. And so I would just like to add one last method today that is about the same thing, which is when you're inside of an angry scenario, what is something that you can do with your partner or whoever you're talking to make it so that you can feel less angry at them faster? Because sometimes it's not very clear. Like Anita had a very clear trigger. She knew that it was her mom that caused her to be mad. And so she was able to control herself in this situation. But sometimes anger doesn't have a clear reason why it's happening at that moment. You're just angry because of some sort of trigger that happened in the past, but you're not like, oh, I know exactly what it is. Sometimes you're just like, oh my God, I'm just so angry because, for some reason, when Anita is making miso soup, it just pisses me off.
Did that ever happen before?
No, it's just an example.
I see.
But just a good example of
Okay.
why exactly. So if you're in that situation where you're just mad at them and you don't want to be mad, okay, I have a great solution that you can use, and that is the 3 appreciation statements. Okay, so this method is great if you are someone who really likes to express your words, and you don't have to say it out loud. You can say it to yourself. But basically what the 3 appreciation statements is, I'll give you an example. Anita and her miso, she's cooking it wrong. Oh, I'm so mad. How could you mess up miso? Raw. And then I was like, okay, wait, Eric, okay. What do you I ask myself this. What do you appreciate about Anita? Okay, I say, oh, Anita is a great chef. Oh, Anita takes really good care of our son. Oh, Anita looks lovely today, and I appreciate that. What happens when you do that? You are literally taking your brain and your body from a negative point of view to a positive point of view. And when you do that, you make the person that you're mad at more human. They're not this character in your story that's screwing things up. And you're like, I'm so mad at this character. If I destroy the character, then I'm happy again. No, they're real. They're a person in your life again. And when that happens, you slow down, you calm down. Your body actually literally becomes less stressed when you do that. So that's one of the other methods that if you're actually in the moment of feeling real anger, that's a way to get out of it real quick.
Yeah. I think that's really, really good because sometimes when you're mad at some person, someone become an object. Like you're going to attack it. Like, just like you say, you're playing video games or something. Oh, that person is in my way. I'm just so annoyed by him.
Kill.
Right. That's literally is how scary that is. If you let your emotion, which is anger, control your brain, you're gonna have those crazy thoughts, and that's when most people say crazy things too, and then they regret it. That's a perfect example. We all been there. I've said so many horrible things to Eric or to other people in my past relationship just because I didn't know Taiwanica nor it exists in the past, or I didn't have the chance to really understand it deeply. So that's why we are doing this right now, to give you those good method. But one thing you're gonna keep in mind, which is every change takes practice, and practice takes time.
You got it. Because
we are so used to the setting. When somebody cut in front of me, I got angry. That's just the setting. That's your brain, telling you what to do, completely reactive at the moment. You're not even thinking. We are so used to this pattern. So when you're right now, what we are teaching you, which is establish a new pattern to a new solution, which is a better solution, you have to do it mindfully, which is consciously, reminding yourself every moment, pay attention to those moments, and do the practice. It's going to be hard, of course, right? But you have to do the practice every time when those moments happens.
Well said. And I think this is a great place for us to let you know that we really care. And this is a wonderful ending statement that Anita made about how you can today just be a little bit more aware of how you're acting in certain scenarios. And so this is Anger on Taiwanica. Stay tuned because we will be expressing another emotion in our next episode. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please definitely give this video a like if you are listening on YouTube. If you're listening on any podcast place, Apple Podcast or Spotify Podcast, please like it and leave a review. Your support will help us find more people to help with this information. And finally, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Taiwanica Podcast. Yes, and so this is Eric, and that's Anita, and we are done.
I was waiting for you like a big closing. I think one last thing I wanted to mention, which is if you are looking for any kind of healing, growth, emotionally, mentally, we are here for you. If you're interested, leave the message on Instagram again at Taiwanica Podcast, or you can go to our page and check out our package. What is the webpage again, Eric?
On Amazing Talker. All the links are provided below, and you can easily send us a message there, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Anita, thanks for your insight today.
Thank you for being here today.
I'm glad to be. Very glad. All right. You all take care. Have a wonderful day, and stay happy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Taiwanica. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.